Hello! Welcome to the podcast, There Is No Spoon. In the previous episode, we explored the first rule of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. It goes like this: stand up straight with your shoulders back. Peterson's second rule goes like this: treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. As with the first rule, I believe that in this chapter, Peterson talks about much more than just this statement, although the main idea logically follows from the deeper themes. Honestly, there are so many important ideas in this chapter that it's not clear they should have been condensed into just one statement. But let's go step by step. As with the first rule, I suggest we start by unpacking the foundational concepts and symbols underlying the argument. Broadly speaking, Peterson discusses two key symbols and their associated ideas: order and chaos. And here, we need to make a brief detour into the modern discourse. When we, and by we, I mean humanity as a whole, think about our reality today, we tend to view it in a materialistic way. Thanks to the scientific worldview that has developed since the time of Descartes, Bacon, and Newton, we've been able to break objective reality down into its fundamental components: forces, particles, laws of nature. But humans are strange beings that live in multiple realities simultaneously. We're not robots. We perceive the world through the prism of our senses, our consciousness, and our cognitive schemas. Even if we took two people with identical consciousnesses, which is impossible, and identical sensory organs, also impossible, their worldviews would still differ, because of each individual's life experience, biography, and internal value system. And so, this inner world is not very materialistic at all. It couldn't be. Not enough time has passed since Descartes for evolution to reshape the psyche. Why am I so hung up on this materialist worldview? Because our view of the world affects how we perceive it. We see what we expect to see. In a materialist mindset, people begin to view reality as a collection of objects, a place where things are located. Everything else is left out. But as Peterson rightly points out, this is not the only way to see the world. In fact, deep down, we already know this. Reality is not just a place where things are located. It's something closer to a story or a drama. That story or drama was lived. It was a subjective experience, and it manifested again and again in the consciousness of every living person. As much as scientific rationalists may resist it, humans are meaning-making creatures, and meaning cannot be reduced to atoms or laws of nature. So the question arises: what are the fundamental elements of this meaning-based reality? Peterson offers an answer: chaos, order, and the process that unfolds between them. These, according to Peterson, are the raw materials from which our life stories are woven. So we need to take a closer look at these concepts. The ideas of order and chaos are familiar to everyone. They're the foundations of our thinking. On the symbolic level, they appear in dualities like yin and yang, day and night, life and death. So what is chaos? Peterson writes, chaos is the domain of ignorance. It's unexplored territory. Chaos is what extends eternally and without limit beyond all states, all ideas, and all disciplines. It's the foreigner, the stranger, the member of another gang, the rustle in the bushes at night, the monster under the bed, the hidden anger of your mother, the sickness of your child. It's the underworld of fairy tale and myth, where the dragon and the gold it guards coexist eternally. Chaos is where we are when we don't know where we are, and what we do when we don't know what we're doing. As we can see, it's hard to offer a clear, precise definition of this concept. The only viable approach, and the one Peterson follows, is through metaphor and association. Chaos, as the realm of ignorance and unexplored territory, is also our fear of the unknown and uncertainty. It's everything outside our comfort zone, the place the hero must go to undertake their quest. Chaos is raw clay, unformed and unshaped. Chaos is the element. It simply is. Chaos is the wild storm of our emotions, the Dionysian impulse of the soul, the dust we came from and will return to. But most frightening of all, chaos is freedom. Freedom in the existential sense, without limits or obligations. Every time we violate our own principles, we enter new territory where there are no signposts. It's a forest we must hack through with a machete, a forest filled with lions, tigers, and bears that could easily destroy us. By choosing freedom, we step onto this thorny path, and the gods, we must think hard before doing so, because chaos can easily consume the self. Order, by contrast, in Peterson's words, is explored territory. He writes, order, by contrast, is explored territory. It's the hierarchy of place, position, and authority, stretching back hundreds of millions of years. It's the structure of society. Moreover, it's a structure grounded in biology because you are adapted to social structure. Order is tribe, religion, hearth, home, and nation. When we are in order, we can think ahead. Everything works. We are stable, calm, and competent. That's why we rarely leave familiar places, either geographic or conceptual, and we don't like being forced out of them. Order is the stability of your marriage. It's backed by tradition and your expectations, which, often in subtle ways, are rooted in those traditions. Chaos is that stability cracking beneath your feet when you discover your partner's betrayal. In other words, order is what we construct around ourselves, using our personality. Things placed where they belong, daily routines, familiar and safe routes, habits, these create a small island of safety amid the ocean of chaos. Order is the Apollonian force within our psyche, the one that resists the pull of nature and the unconscious. It is the final guardian, the one keeping us from sliding into depression or anxiety. Chaos and order are not just abstract concepts. Yes, they don't exist as physical objects. You can't touch them. But you can't touch pain either. And yet anyone who's felt it knows it's real. Incidentally, several neurophysiological studies in the early 2000s showed that psychological pain activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Pain is universal, no matter what causes it. It is real, just as order and chaos are real, at least within the internal world. And can we even speak meaningfully about any world except the inner one? How we deal with order and chaos determines how we live. In a sense, ancient symbols point us in the right direction. The path lies along the border, the twilight zone, between yin and yang. As Peterson notes, this idea is echoed in the Gospel of Matthew. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. A life without chaos is a life without growth or meaning, a life lacking vitality and the possibility of true action. A life without order is an unconscious life, one in which the person doesn't shape their own story, but is shaped by it. In such a case, the unconscious reigns, and the person regresses, merging with the mother archetype. Peterson puts it clearly: chaos and order make up the eternal, transcendent environment of life. To thrive in this duality, you must balance. Plant one foot firmly in order and security, and the other in chaos, possibility, growth, and adventure. At every moment in life, you must understand where you are, what resources you have, what you can and cannot do. In good times, when abundance surrounds you, you can afford chaos. It may even be necessary to shake things up. But in hard times, you need order more than ever. That stable island, that reference point where you can firmly stand and face the chaos, integrating and experiencing it without being consumed. These are the times of difficult choices, when the chaff is swept away by the storm. The time when you must ask yourself, what do I want? What truly matters in life, not just in this situation? How do I want to live my life? It's a time when you may not be able to serve both God and mammon, when you must choose between important things and determine what truly matters in the context of your life, and what is just a fleeting problem that must be overcome through strength of will. You can compare a person in such a moment to a swimmer in open water, heading toward an island. The swimmer is carrying too many things, and if they try to bring everything, they may not make it. What do you bring? Values, plans, relationships, people, money, work? There are no right or wrong answers, because every life is unique. But the horror of such a moment lies in the fact that it forces us to make such a choice. One of Peterson's important observations in the context of order and chaos is that they are never absolute. All major religions say as much. In the Taoist yin-yang symbol, the white swirl contains a black dot, and the black swirl contains a white dot. Even a situation of total order holds within it the seeds, or philosophically speaking, the potency of chaos. Just as in total chaos, order can rise like a phoenix from the ashes. In Christian mythology, this is symbolized by the serpent present in the Garden of Eden. A place that is wholly good, entirely order, simply cannot exist. God, who creates the best of all possible worlds, cannot make one that consists only of good, because that world wouldn't be better than one in which goodness is a conscious human choice, not a given of nature. In psychological terms, every moment of sadness or suffering contains the seed of something new that could become beautiful order, just as every moment of joy and happiness holds the seed of suffering, born of order itself. Such is the eternal pattern. I'd like to end this thought with Peterson's words about what this means practically. He writes, in the context of the myth of the fall, "Man, because you followed the woman, your eyes were opened. Your divine sight, given to you by the serpent, the fruit, and the lover, now lets you see far, even into the future. But those who see the future always see coming trouble and must prepare for every eventuality and probability. So you must always sacrifice the present for the future. You must delay gratification for safety. In short, you must work, and it will be hard." This was the podcast, There Is No Spoon. Until next time.